November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a
child who thinks he's going to get kicked out of America. The voters of Arizona decided racial profiler extraordinaire Joe Arpaio did not deserve a 7th term as sheriff. Well done. Ilhan Omar, whose political journey began in a Kenyan refugee camp, will be America's first Somali-American legislator. Yes. Catherine Cortez Masto will be the first Latina U.S. senator. Yep. Kamala Harris will be our first Indian senator and California African-American senator, double milestone. And let's hear it for Senator Tammy Duckworth.
Since Michael Moore got it so right before the election, let's listen to him now as his 5-point plan makes sense. He says, number 1, take over the Democratic Party and return it to the people.
Power to the people. Power to the people.
Number 2, fire all pundits, predictors, pollsters, and anyone else in the media who had a narrative they wouldn't let go of and refused to listen to or acknowledge what was really going on. Number 3, any Democratic member of Congress who didn't wake up this morning ready to fight, resist, and obstruct in the way Republicans did against President Obama every day for 8 full years must step out of the way and let those of us who know the score lead the way in stopping the meanness and the madness that's about to begin.
Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up for your right.
Number 4, everyone must stop saying they are stunned and shocked. What you mean to say is that you were in a bubble and weren't paying attention to your fellow Americans and their despair. Years of being neglected by, to quote our president-elect,
there's nothing left to lose.
And that's another look at what's news. The hits just keep on coming. I'm Nicole Sandler for NicoleSandler.com and the Progressive Voices Network.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
No. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Turn up your mind.
Oh, it's Veterans Day, you bastards.
You know, girls, it's great to live in a democracy today.
Yeah.
Where freedom is everywhere.
Where'd it go?
But girls, we often take this freedom for granted.
Really?
Freedom of speech.
What?
Freedom of thought.
No.
And freedom of action.
Seriously?
But you know, gals.
Oh, thank you.
Just because a bunch of men signed that Declaration of Independence in 1776 doesn't mean that freedom was for men alone.
Oh, no?
Oh, no, you take Tom Jefferson.
Okay.
Ben Franklin.
You know.
John Hancock.
Adorable.
He's a hell of a guy for you right there. All these men had wives. They probably had a few broads on the side, too.
The right side.
These women wanted freedom just as much as their men did. But, gals, I wonder, do we? I think it's time that we women thought about it a bit.
Yeah.
Hell, I think it's time we did something about it.
Oh, hell.
So come on, fellow females of the 20th century.
19th.
Be glad that you're an American.
I'm glad.
Proclaim your freedom.
Freedom.
And attention.
Oh, dear God.
Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance
and...
Pepe! Pepe!
It's Friday.
Hey, happy Veterans Day, everybody. And don't forget to honor the President-elect Trump for the time he served in a military-themed prep school because he punched a teacher in a regular prep school. That's his military experience. That's it for you. Ay, ay, ay. They gave him his Twitter machine back. They gave it back to him because he began to tweet again and he had to delete himself. Just delete your account. Really? Why doesn't somebody think of this? You know, like emails get people in trouble. He says he doesn't use the email. Wait, the Twitter. Just wait. The Twitter is going to be... But he tweeted yesterday, just had a very open and successful presidential election. Now, professional protesters, incited by the media, are protesting. Very unfair. Guess he found his phone. But somebody found out that he found his phone. And they made him delete it and tweet this instead. Quote, love the fact that small groups of protesters last night have passion for our great country. We will all come together and be proud. He's so screwed. He really is. You think we are? I'm not really sure he'll make it to the inauguration. I'm not really sure. I mean, I could be in the first stage of grief, which is denial. I could be. I really could be, because, at first when the whole thing was being called, remember that night? Yeah. I don't know how many people remember it, because I think a lot of people were drinking. I was not among you. I did it sober, which was excruciating to feel your feelings that night. But I, of course, couldn't. So first I had like God's anesthesia come over me where I didn't feel anything. I was just like stunned. And then I went into immediate denial. I said, I'm waiting until they call Michigan. I'm waiting until they call Michigan. And I could still be there, because now I'm hoping that there will be no inauguration of this man. I have a few things, in my head that could happen. And, but apparently this man can't see out of the Chinese glass that is the Trump Tower windows. Remember when we had that spider guy crawl up the Trump Tower and you saw how wavy that glass was? That's Chinese glass, which was fitted into Chinese steel. And maybe it's just like so defective that he can't see the crowds below, because they're not small, Donald. But I love the fact that he, chose to insert the word small. And, I love the fact that we're evidently being ruled by a man-child, who needs to have his social media monitored by grown-ups. This will be great for America. This is just, I'm so encouraged. You know what it reminds me? You people who watch Game of Thrones and all these period pieces, you love you love the Tudors, and you love all those well, we're living it now. Maybe this is why it feels familiar to you. It's like we had a monarchy, and we got stuck with some unruly brat as king, some unruly man-child, and he's got a group of hungry, greedy regents that will rule in his name, Speaking of which, have you seen who's up for these jobs? Okay, all I could tell you is every single list I looked at, and I have them all. There's a list of 41 names. There's a Mother Jones article that's investigating who's likely to get what. Okay, first I have to tell you, on every single list for every single job, Chris Christie's name. It's on every single list. It's like they can't figure out where to plug him in, because he's an unindicted co-conspirator, and all the testimony at the Bridgegate trial, where people got convicted on 7 counts of conspiracy and fraud by the government, using their political power for personal vindictive, retribution, revenge, right? And that you can't do that. Trump's about to do that, and you'll see he's not going to survive it, but he's going to do it because he can't help himself. He can't. He's Nixon on steroids, and I don't know what kind, but whatever it is, it makes you go like that a lot when you lie. It's his tell. But it's really weird. Like on every single list, whether you're looking at Attorney General or everything but Treasury Secretary, it's Chris Christie is on the list as a suggested person. Like they got to plug him in somewhere. They don't know what to do with him. And there are virtually no women except for Kellyanne Conway, who's on the list for White House Chief of Staff. And in that case, I'd rather see a pasty white person. I just can't. The amount of lying that goes on with her. But there's virtually no position on the list that doesn't include Chris Christie, Rudy Giuliani, Newt Gingrich, or Jeff Sessions, which tells you something. It tells you Trump does not have a lot of friends. It also tells the right wing or the alt-right or the white supremacists or the racist out there or the KKK or whoever you are, whatever you're calling yourself today, this man did not drain the swamp. He's bringing back every snake, every mosquito, every leech, every government hack, every, wannabe. And no, it's really weird because some of these guys are truly unemployable. So in that way, he's keeping his promise. He will employ the unemployable in his administration. However, he's already signaled to you people who voted for him that he was lying to you. I told you you've been conned, and wait till you see what he does. Wait till you see. We're about to find out what he really believes. And, oh my God, the answer to that is nothing. He believes nothing. I tried to explain this to you. The crap that's going to go down is going to be like legendarily uncomfortable and painful and bad. I mean, okay, let me just look at some of these cabinet people just to give the alt-right, thank you for listening, by the way. Thank you. But remember when he said to you, I know the smartest guys on Wall Street. I know our best negotiators. I know the overrated guys. I know the underrated guys, the guys that nobody ever heard of that are killers, that are great. We got to use those people. Like Jack Welch, the former CEO of General Electric. Jack Welch said, not interested. He said no. He also mentioned private equity giant Henry Kravis and Carl Icahn. It looks like he's going to pick the head of Bank of America, or J.P. Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, who settles every lawsuit. This is what Donald Trump said. He said he hated Jamie Dimon because Jamie Dimon settles every lawsuit. Oh, and by the way, Trump is going to probably, my best guess is he settles the fraud case because his lawyer's already, Petrocelli, he's already saying, yeah, I think you ought to settle it. I really do. They tried to make this case to the court yesterday, which is hysterical. Well, he's very busy right now, so we have to delay it until after he's sworn in, as if once he becomes president, he'll have all this free time. And he will, because he's going to do nothing. I swear to God. It's amazing. All right, Alan in New York City.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, this is Alan from New York City. How are you today?
Mm-hmm.
What I want, two things. The first point is why I think Trump won the election.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically because he made the fake promises of jobs to a desperate Midwest along the Rust Belt.
Yeah,
I lived in Utica, New York in the 90s. And it is such a depressed area that these people would believe anything.
Well, yeah, I know. But that combined with, telling people that, who was to blame for it was black people and Mexicans, that went a long way too.
And my other point is, a lot of people are talking about that we need to obstruct the same way that Republicans did with Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we can't do that. The nature of our two parties are very different. Obama won his election because Bush and the Republicans failed with their policies and destroyed this country. And that's why we win, because when they're in power, they fail.
Always.
The biggest fear of Republicans is that we will succeed when we're in power. And that's why they had no choice but to obstruct and not let Obama and us do what needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that it's not in Democrats' nature to do that. I don't think that we have the ability to lie the way they did and do the things that they did. We do have to protest, we do have to fight, but to just blindly go out and obstruct Congress and obstruct everything that's going on and hurt this country further is not going to help us.
So you want them to confirm some wildly crazy Supreme Court justice like another Clarence Thomas?
Well, you know what? It doesn't matter who we confirm, because let's face it, Ruth Ginsburg is not going to be long. And if we confirm nobody, we're still going to be outnumbered in the Supreme Court 4-3 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I am horrified.
So you want to put some young gun, somebody who's going to outlive us on the Supreme Court, somebody that's going to undo Roe v. Wade, or somebody that's going to allow.
How do you effectively stop them?
Same way they effectively stopped us. You filibuster. You say we won't confirm. We just won't confirm. We'll filibuster, and that's it. Now,
and what happens?
And we leave somebody there, and we convene the Senate every 20 minutes or every 2 hours.
Don't they have the majority of the Senate? Can't they stop? Can't they change?
Can't
the rules?
stop. They can change the rules, but I don't think they will. Although they got so much government now. They've got like governorships all over the place. They've got almost every state legislature. They've got the House. They've got the Senate. We've got like the most insanely Republican government. There will be nobody to blame. There will be nobody to blame but them.
I don't know if you saw the comment. Ann Coulter put out a comment that the last time that the Republicans were in charge of anything was 1928.
Yeah, and then we had the Great Depression the year after that.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
I am horribly. I mean, I don't know what we have very few options. I am horrified. I think that this defeat that we got in this election is something that this country may never recover from. And I'm in my 50s. I'm a little bit, I'm definitely in your generation. I don't think in my lifetime, especially with what could happen with the Supreme Court, that we're going to see this and recover from this defeat.
Well, the only thing you can hope for is that they trash the economy really quickly this time and don't wait to the end of the 8 years to do it on their way out the door.
And perhaps hope that Democrats will come out. The other weakness of our party is coming out and voting on off elections. And
in the midterms, I know. But right now, they are completely and wholly responsible for everything and anything that happens in the states because they control almost every governorship now, except for, a couple of big ones like California, New York.
Did I hear correctly that the Democrat won in North Carolina?
Yes.
We got one.
Wait, what? Democrat for what?
I heard someone say in North Carolina that the Democrat won the governorship.
No.
Oh, okay. I must have maybe I misheard that from something.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't even look.
Oh well. What can I?
No. Did they reelect Corey? Yeah, they did. They reelected him.
Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
Well, the unthinkables happened. We have Donald Trump moving into the White House in 2017. Of course, this move brings extreme uncertainty to our country's financial future. I mean, you got the Don and his crew moving into the White House now, and who knows what they'll do to our economy. When he moves into the White House, everyone needs to get their own financial house in order before the Don and the crew have the time to do some serious economic damage to this country. Now, when it's time for financial security, it's time for gold. So call my friends at ITM Trading. Get a free gold kit. Learn why gold survives every government, every currency, every economic crisis. Gold's always brought its owners security in uncertain times just like this. Call ITM Trading at 1-888-OWN-GOLD. Get expert guidance from their precious metals consultants. They've helped tens of thousands of people navigate this market. They have the best reputation in the industry. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1887. That was the day that 4 men were hung in Chicago for their alleged role in the bombing at a labor rally at the city's Haymarket Square a year earlier. 8 men were put on trial. Although the prosecution did not prove any of the men had ties to the bombing, 5 were sentenced to die. Louis Ling died in jail before the execution could take place. The others were martyred for their support of the labor movement and the fight for the 8-hour day. 3 of those executed were born in Germany. August Spies and Adolf Fischer worked for a Chicago German-language workers' newspaper. George Engel owned a toy store. Backlash against foreign-born anarchists helped stoke public hysteria over Haymarket. The final martyr was Southern-born Albert Parsons, the editor of The Alarm, an English-language workers' paper. The day after they died, the Chicago Tribune reported on the brutality of their execution, writing, quote, "Then begins a scene of horror that freezes the blood. The loosely adjusted nooses remain behind the left ear and do not slip to the back of the neck. Not a single neck is broken, and the horrors of a death by strangulation begin." Thousands of mourners joined the funeral procession of the 5 slain men. In 1893, Governor John Peter Altgeld granted the 3 defendants still in jail a full pardon. The monument to the Haymarket 8 stands at Forest Home Cemetery, just west of Chicago, drawing visitors from across the world to remember these martyrs for the 8-hour movement. May Day is celebrated as the workers' holiday around the world in commemoration of the events in Chicago. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
No, they're still counting the votes in North Carolina. I hadn't looked today, but they're still doing it. There's only 5,000 vote. There's a 5,000 vote difference between the two, between McCrory and Cooper. Cooper is the Democrat, and McCrory is the one that did the transgender bathroom bill. And so there's only 5. All these people in North Carolina that voted for Trump, they failed to, really back McCrory. So they're still counting the provisionals. We don't know who won North Carolina yet. Let's see. Yeah, 5,000 votes. 4.7 million votes cast in North Carolina, and there's 5,000 votes in between, separating the Democrat and the Republican. So no, we don't know who won North Carolina yet. All right, Michael in Los Angeles.
Randy?
Yeah.
Hi. I teach at Cal State Los Angeles, and it was my students that were out there last night on the freeway, blocking the 10 freeway.
Mm.
And we actually have a pretty big stake at our college in what's going on with Trump and everything, because our student body is probably about 60% Hispanic, and we have a lot of people that have relatives that are potential for deportation.
Right.
So the students were really, they actually shut the university down yesterday. They also pulled all the fire alarms, got everybody out. But as far as the election goes, one of the things, the Comey letters, I think, had a bigger part in it than we think, because I think the first Comey letter on the 11th basically gave some people some false hope. But I think when the second letter came out, it basically gave them even more reason to fight on the Trump people, because we didn't indict Hillary. So I think Comey and the FBI played a huge part, because the election was close.
Do you think Comey is done?
I'm sorry.
Do you think Comey's finished investigating things?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think he's done.
Well, I hope you're right.
I know.
I hope you're right.
I know. I do hope I'm right, but I don't think he's done. And again, the reason, this could be denial.
But there's also so much hate out there
grieving.
right now.
Wait a minute. What do you want to talk about? The hate or the Comey? Pick something.
What I was just going to say is that I've experienced so much hate on the internet.
Of course,
and even from relatives. I'm losing a friend of 30 years over this.
Right. I know. I'm not friends with some. I said yesterday, screws trying to get along with them. I just, screw you. I'm not going to help you anymore. I used to always say, I care about you too. And I'm trying to, look out for you too. And, you may disagree with me, but I'm looking for policies that'll lift everybody up and move us forward. I want to get into the 21st century. I want to drag you kicking and screaming with me. No, not anymore. You're off my Christmas list. I don't give a rat's ass if I never speak to you again. If you voted for Trump, you're a pariah in my life. I don't want to know you. I don't want to talk to you. You enabled the most hideous kind of bigotry, racism, ethnic cleansing. You actually encouraged it. You enabled it. You may not have, said that's why you voted for him, but that's what he was peddling. And anybody that stood with a pen in their hand or a lever in their hand or drew an X in the box for that man is part of this bigoted, racist, white supremacy surge that we see. I mean, the kids on campus, my God, the crap that I was reading, I posted it. Somebody asked me if I'd posted in my homework today, so I did. But there was a compilation of all these tweets that I tweeted yesterday that would it would make your hair stand on end. The crap that was done. I mean, a man walks outside his front door and somebody writes the N-word all over his car and Trump's name. And a girl named Maria in her dorm, they took all her belongings and lined them up facing, so it would lead her out the door and said, hey, Maria, go back to your country. They took a metal bar and hit some girl, knocked her down because she wears a hijab. And then when she was on the ground, they kicked her and said, now go back to your country. This girl's an American. You know what I mean? Anybody that voted for him, yeah. I'm sick of you. I'm so tired of you making the wrong decision, voting against your own. But wait till they see what happens. And then they're going to come crawling back on their bellies because 12% of these people voted for Obama.
I work with 3 women who were Bernie supporters, and I thought that they were going to fall in line for Hillary. As I found out after the election, all 3 of them wrote in Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, 12% of the people that voted for Donald Trump were I can't say they're Bernie supporters, but they were Democrats. They were Obama, previously voted for Obama.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is the Bernie supporters, the people that were originally behind Bernie, a lot of those are what you would call anarchists, I don't want to say professional agitators, but they were not what I would call Democrats at that point.
Well, it doesn't matter what they are. They voted for him. I don't care about you anymore. I mean, this man is about to put the titan of fracking, the titan of oil and gas into the Department of Interior and the Department of Energy.
Well, and also on the internet today, there was a thing, I think it was from Democracy Now!, of Newt Gingrich wanting to have a new House on Un-American Activities Committee.
Well, he wants to be the hand of the king. See, Newt cannot get confirmed. Okay, this is the problem. You know, Donald Trump has picked every snake, every loser, every fraud, everybody who is, a part of the old swamp to be part of the new swamp. And what's really sick is Newt will never get confirmed to be a cabinet member by the Senate. I don't care, how Republican they are. They won't go. So he needs a job where he doesn't need confirmation. And he's talking about he'll be the ambassador to the White House, in the Senate and the House, and he'll go and be the hand of the king, and he'll go and check on everybody all the time because he's making up a job that doesn't need Senate confirmation. This guy, I mean, really, he's bringing back you know who else he's talking about? He's talking about John Bolton. You remember John Bolton, the guy who said he was the UN ambassador who said he hated the UN. He wanted the top 11 floors of the UN taken off. He pushed the false claim that Saddam Hussein was developing nuclear weapons. He supported the conspiracy theorist. I don't know how many people remember her, but look her up. Lori Malroy, who said Saddam was behind the 9/11 attacks and was. He said the Iraq invasion was the right move. He said Trump is considering that man to be the Secretary of State. So don't tell me, Trump was anti-war. If he's looking at Bolton for anything, I mean. And he's looking at John Bolton. John Bolton, the guy with the walrus mustache. You guys remember him, don't you?
Well, God bless him, Randy.
Thank you. Really, don't you remember? This list is just, okay, this is amazing. Treasury is going to be a Wall Street hack, okay? That's what Treasury is going to be. So let's see, who's he looking at? Okay, so he's looking at the ex-Goldman Sachs banker, Steve Mnuchin, who was chairman of a housing lender, called One West, which, according to the New York Times, quote, was involved in a string of lawsuits over questionable foreclosures. Yeah, that's you. That's you ordinary freaks. Yeah. Over questionable foreclosures and settled several cases for millions of dollars. Last year, believe it or not, Variety magazine, they said Mnuchin and other partners lost $80 million in a company called Relativity Media. It was a movie studio. The movie studio went bust under his guidance, and the magazine wrote, quote, disgruntled Relativity investors privately are questioning how a bank Mnuchin once headed, One West Bank in Pasadena, was allowed by the movie studio to drain $50 million from the studio just weeks before the insolvency filing. It was to deprive people, the investors, of any return on their investment. Now, Mnuchin was the finance chairman of the Trump campaign, and you think he used his own money? You're crazy. You're actually crazy. This is who he's talking about making Treasury Secretary. Some failed banker / failed movie studio mogul who, when the thing was thrown into insolvency, bled his bank or funded his bank with the money from the movie studio before he declared bankruptcy. Oh, God. See, this is the Trump way. Okay, for Attorney General, of course, Chris Christie is on the list. He's on every list except for Treasury Secretary. He's on the list for every position there might be. Okay? He said, I think he'll make a great Attorney General. He's a very talented guy. That was Trump saying that to Howie Carr on the radio in March. Donald Trump Jr. said in February, I think there will certainly be something within the Justice Department for Christie if he's not chosen as vice president. And then Trump passed over Christie for the VP. And he said he smoothed it over by floating the top spot at the Justice Department. Quote, if he asks me and I can do it, I will do it, Christie said. But because the Bridgegate scandal found, his chief of staff and the Port Authority head guilty of conspiracy and fraud, all 7 count. I mean, they're looking at 35 years in jail. Okay, you understand? So now they're saying, well, maybe Rudy Giuliani will be Attorney General. Now, Rudy's got his own problems, okay? Rudy used his Secret Service detail when he was cheating on his wife to run errands for his mistress, who he's now married to. This is wife number 3. But there are other problems with Rudy. Rudy is the head of Stop and Frisk, right? And now all of a sudden you're going to put him in charge of, you're going to make him the Attorney General? Really? This is dangerous. Okay, Homeland Security. You know who they're talking about for Homeland Security? Oh, we are so messed up if this happens. You remember my favorite county sheriff of Milwaukee, David Clark? Yes. Black Lives Matter is the same as ISIS, he said. They're a terrorist group. Ebony Magazine called Sheriff David Clark, he's an African-American man, he called him a black cop with a dangerous mentality, noting that his conservative political views, particularly on law enforcement, have made him a darling of the right-wing media, but his critics have called him a shill. That's from, okay, and what Ebony Magazine did not include is the fact that 2 people died of, one was laying on the floor with a broken neck in his jail for 6 days and died because nobody tended to him, which is illegal. And another inmate not only was proactively had his toilet and water shut off, and that guy died of thirst on the floor in his cell on purpose. Homeland Security, everybody. He's up for that. Health and Human Services, Ben Carson. Which, by the way, you may not think Health and Human Services is a very sexy job, but they are in charge of the Affordable Care Act. They're in charge of implementation. So Ben Carson, he would be just the guy, right? Just the guy. Now, education, Chris Christie's on this list too. Ben Carson's on this list too for the Department of Education. And they're saying maybe Ben could run 2 departments. But then remember, they are. But then remember that they vowed to abolish the Department of Education. So maybe it'll just be part-time. He'll be doing 2 jobs. I don't know. Because Trump said the Department of Education would be largely eliminated. So if he puts Ben Carson in charge of education, Ben Carson's going to end up with no job. So maybe that's why they're looking at him for dual, health and human services and education, and then they'll take away the one. I don't know. Okay, for Secretary of State, Newt Gingrich or this guy that I'm telling you about. I mean, I can't believe that some people are so young that they don't know who Bolton is. They think it's Michael Bolton. You know that? They do. No, you need to, this guy is a super hawk. This guy is a warmonger. This guy is like, uber invade Iraq. He was like so down with it. He was the one that was saying that we can't let the smoking gun be a mushroom cloud and put those words into everybody's mouth so that they said it on the Sunday shows. Over and over and over again. That's Bolton. Bolton kept pushing this false claim that Saddam Hussein had nuclear weapons, and he had a program, and it was just, we didn't want the smoking gun to turn into a mushroom cloud, and this is why we had to invade Iraq, and propagandize the American people to the point where, I don't know if you remember this, by the time we invaded Iraq, people like me were unshakable in their disgust with the decision to attack Iraq after 9/11, since they had nothing to do with it. However, 72 after all the propaganda, John Boltons of the world, the Dick Cheneys of the world, the Condoleezza Rices of the world, the Don Rumsfelds of the world, were all over the Sunday TV talk shows. We don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud. Luke, I am your father. Like that. People were so scared. That the day we invaded, the day we did shock and awe, 72% of the American people were for it. I wonder if you know that. That was the amount of propagandizing that. It's just like this election. We were propagandized so heavily. But that's who he wants. That's who he wants for Secretary of State, the biggest warmonger in the history of the world. John Bolton. I can't even breathe when I thought we were so done with these guys. Drain the swamp. This is the swamp. Okay, and then House Speaker Newt Gingrich, he's another one, but he can't get confirmed. That's the problem with Newt. Newt he can't. So in Game of Thrones parlance, he wants to be the hand of the king because he can't get. So he wants to be the senior planner for the entire federal government. And I want a letter from you that said this is Gingrich talking to Mike Pence. Okay. He said, I want to be the senior planner for the entire federal government. And I want a letter from you that says Newt Gingrich is authorized to go to any program in any department, examine it, and report directly to the president. That's because he can't get confirmed. He would not get confirmed even by this swampy, same old snakes in the Senate. Drain the swamp. People are so stupid, I must say. Okay, energy. Woohoo. Fracking billionaire Harold Hamm to run the energy department. He bragged about, Trump has been bragging about his friendship, and said, these other companies, they go out and spend millions of dollars looking for oil. That guy takes a straw, puts it in the ground, and oil pours out of it. That's the kind of guy we want talking to us about energy. Then, of course, it'd be him or Sarah Palin as well. Now, Ham is a guy who employs, like a battery of lobbyists, and he wants to get rid of every regulation on oil and gas drilling. He says that our government is impeding energy production, even though we are producing oil and gas at record levels. We are literally energy independent. We are. Ham said at the Republican convention, I wonder if you saw him, he said, climate change is not our problem. Islamic terrorism is. Just to shift the conversation away from fracking. But he told Bloomberg last year, he told the University of Oklahoma dean, he wants the University of Oklahoma to fire the scientists who were exploring connections between oil and gas fracking and Oklahoma's tremendous increase in earthquakes. Fire the scientists. That's who'll be in charge. Defense. Lieutenant General retired Michael Flynn, who is the former Defense Intelligence Agency director. But because Flynn is only removed from his job, Flynn was forced out of his job. You know that, right? He was forced out as the Defense Intelligence Agency director in 2014. And he wrote a book describing Islam as a cancer, like the whole religion. Yeah, so he's going to be the top. They want him to be the top defense guy. Except his problem is he only was forced out of his job in 2014. So it's not 7 years. And there's a ban on the revolving door. And according to Donald Trump, he wouldn't allow anybody who served in the government to then, lobby the government or be part of the government. In his world, he said that's how he's draining the swamp. But he wants Flynn to be the Secretary of Defense, a disgraced guy with a tumultuous stint at the Pentagon, a racist. And the beauty of Flynn is Flynn would be the Secretary of Defense, would be in a position to exact revenge against the Department of Defense, against the Pentagon, against the Defense Intelligence Agency. And by the way, welcome to, mass surveillance. You know what I mean? Either him or Jeff Sessions, the Republican of Alabama, or, this will make your head spin if you remember him, Representative Duncan Hunter of California, who's been a lobbyist like as soon as he left Congress. So I don't know, the revolving door, does it spin or does it not spin? We're about to find out, but it seems like everybody here is a retread. Everyone here is a swamp monster. Everyone here is a creature of the Black Lagoon. Everyone here has already served disgracefully. Because Donald Trump has no friends. Just these people.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
We did it, you bastards! We're live! And it only took 2 years! Okay. All right. So we're back, we're live, and you're there, and we're here, and ain't that great? Now let me just tell you that if you want to listen whenever and wherever you'd like to listen, just go to RandiRhodes.com, click on podcasts and swag, and get your podcast commercial-free, on demand, on any device. RandiRhodes.com. Open all day, every day.
Here's what's happening on the Leslie Marshall Show on the Progressive Voices Network. Out of 107 polls, over 100 of them said that Hillary Clinton would win. The predictors, 538 every day, had her up and down, but never had Trump winning. Actually, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, as did Al Gore back in 2000. And Hillary Clinton, unlike Donald Trump if he had been in this situation, with class, with dignity, called him shortly after he reached 270 and conceded. Now, some people said, oh, she should have come out and spoke to her supporters that were standing there. And I agree, but my mother pointed something out. My mother said, how do you stand in a room with a glass ceiling and admit defeat when you still can't break it? And after 240 years, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America still has never had a woman as president. I've mentioned to people that know me that when I went to vote yesterday, I took my kids with me, and the place we voted allowed me to bring my kids in with me so they could see the process in my little cubicle. And when I voted for Hillary Clinton, I took my 8-year-old daughter's finger and I put it on top of mine and pressed that button. I wanted my daughter someday to remember being with mommy on election day when history was made. For the first time ever in 240 years, there would be a girl as president. I was so confident Hillary Clinton would win, I bought my daughter 2 months ago a Hello Kitty bracelet that has Hello Kitty and a little picture of Hillary that I was going to give her for Christmas. Maybe I still will. I'm disappointed. We all are when our candidate doesn't win. I had a lot of emails, text messages, and phone calls from friends of mine, and not all female. People I work with in radio and television, and the general consensus was that I hate to lose, and I hate when my candidate loses, but this really affected me differently than any other election or any other loss. Now, that's how it is for me, and so many people are saying that to me, male and female. One of my best friends I've known since I was 5 lives in Alexandria, Virginia, and she said, I'm not even a big fan of Hillary. And she goes, and I don't know if it's because of me being a woman or who our next president's going to be that I'm taking this to heart and very personally. I'm having a hard time functioning today. One of my other girlfriends and her mom said they are dressing in black. And by the way, yesterday I wore blue with my I voted sticker on television. I did that on purpose in support of the Democrats. And I had a dress hanging in my closet that was white, unseasonable for fall. And I put it away because even though, yes, we've had the first major party candidate for president after 240 years, and yes, women can vote, thank you, Susan B. Anthony and the others in the suffragette movement, we still don't have a president, a woman president. France, Germany, the UK, Chile, Canada, Israel, India, Pakistan, a Muslim country, have all had female leaders. We have not. Catch my show, The Leslie Marshall Show, Monday to Friday on the Progressive Voices Network.
The Randi Rhodes Show is brought to you by our partners at ITM Trading. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
And he's got every lobbyist in Washington, D.C. working on the transition. Jeffrey Eisenach, a consultant, he worked for Verizon. He's a lobbyist for Verizon and telecommunications giants. He's picking the members of the Federal Communications Commission. Oh, yeah, your phone bill's going to go down. Trust me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's going to go down. You can have more choices. Yeah, right. Yeah, the white supremacists have better coverage than Verizon. Okay? But your bill's going to go up. Michael Cannizzaro, he's a lobbyist for Devon Energy and Canna Oil and Gas. He holds the energy portfolio. He's the one that's selecting from these fabulous names I just floated to you. Michael Torrey, he's a lobbyist who runs a firm that earned millions of dollars helping the food industry. Yeah, the food industry. Dean Foods is one of his clients. American Beverage Association. He's setting up the team at the Department of Agriculture. And you were upset because they don't want to tell you if the stuff's genetically modified. Wait, they're not even going to tell you if it's food anymore. You won't even know if it's like real food. You got, the voices of the forgotten people. You're going to love this. You're really going to love this. They all come from industries where they're being asked to set the regulatory groundwork. All these guys, all these lobbyists, they're now, Mr. Canizzaro's client list, major corporate players, Hess Corporation, Devon Energy, they are like against any environmental regulations. Any none. Like you shouldn't even, like air shouldn't even, like, it shouldn't even be like CO2 anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like it could be CO3. and they don't care. You know, it's all industry players. Everyone is an industry player. By the way, what they want to do is export the crude oil. This is what they want. They want to take the dirty tar sands and, just like Canada did, run it through our country and help them export it to countries around the world. Michael McKenna, he's another lobbyist. He's picking key administration officials to oversee the energy policy. He's got a client list, Southern Company. They hate any efforts at all to regulate air. They're the coal people. They want coal burning power plants and they want government money to build them. That's what it is. Okay, you got Martin Whitmer. He's a lobbyist that's going to oversee transportation and infrastructure. He's the chairman of a Washington law firm, which means lobby shop. He lobbies, his clients include the Association of American Railroads and the National Asphalt Pavement Association. Dave Malpass, he's from Bear Stearns. Anybody remember Bear Stearns? I mean, some of our listeners are very young. Bear Stearns doesn't exist anymore. You know why? They collapsed during the 2008 financial debacle. So he was the CEO of Bear Stearns. They're looking at him for treasury also. Failed Bear Stearns CEO. The guy that, oh my God. So they're looking, he now runs a firm called Encima Global that sells economic research to institutional investors and corporate clients. That's what he does now since he crashed Bear Stearns. Okay, good. You got the telecom industry consultant. He's helped all these cellular clients. All these cellular clients against any regulations proposed by the FCC. So, good luck with your phone bill. Is what it is. He wants to mandate, he's against net neutrality. Okay. He wants providers to give, you know what net neutrality is? It means I get equal access to the internet as very heavy duty, finance companies. I get the same chance at search engine optimization. I get the same chance to compete. He's against that. He thinks that I shouldn't be able to be on the internet. He thinks I should have to pay to be on the internet. Okay, so he's in charge of the FCC. That would be great. Dan DiMiccio, he's the former chief executive of Nucor. He's he's the member of the board of Duke Energy. Yeah, he's going to be the office of the trade representative, which is everything that you care about, you said. He's long argued that China is subsidizing its manufacturing center at the expense of American jobs. But, he's a steel guy. And, of course, Trump likes Chinese steel prices. So he buys Chinese steel. We'll see how they get along. And that's about that. Those are the lobbyists that are controlling the transition. So it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate signal to the drain the swamp people and the MAGA people, make America great again. He's he's actually using every single swamp person that you could possibly imagine. People already there, people already lobbying, people who have clients, that have a deep interest in the outcome. People from the failed banking sector, people from the failed coal sector. They're all going to be, implanted in the government, and they're going to have their way with you. Is what they're going to do. Drain the swamp. This is every gator that was ever in the swamp. This is every crocodile. This is every mosquito. This is every leech. This is every snake. This is every swamp rat that was ever in the swamp. And then got kicked out of the swamp by people like Obama, who, by the way, when Obama was doing his transition, he refused to use lobbyists. Refused. And created laws that said that there would be no revolving door, so that you couldn't go and work in government if you had come from a lobby shop. You couldn't. You couldn't go from government to a lobby shop, and you couldn't go from a lobby shop to government. That's how you drain the swamp, but now the swamp is being filled up again with the same damn people. Rick in Los Angeles.
Hey, Randy, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, I called about something else, but I'll just add in a couple of nominations possibly for new positions. I think Donald should seriously consider Martin Shkreli as the FDA chief, and maybe he should pardon Bernie Madoff and name him as Treasury Secretary. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. And Rick Scott from Florida, the largest perpetrator of Medicare fraud, Health and Human Services, would be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And instead of Michael Flynn for Defense Secretary, maybe Jack Ripper. Oh, wait a second. Michael Flynn is Jack Ripper.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, the cast of characters is just
Sheriff
ridiculous.
David Clark of Milwaukee, Homeland Security. Oh, that'd be great if we're attacked by, by protesters.
Yeah, it's just total insanity. And another thing that came out, it was
wait, you know whose name is missing?
Yeah,
Scott Baio.
Oh, yeah. Well,
can't we put Charles in charge of something?
Maybe the National Endowment for the Arts.
Yeah. Very good. And if he had any compassion at all, this Trump man, he would give Billy.
Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent is better than that.
Oh, Ted Nugent wants to be. Ted Nugent and Donald Trump Jr. both want to run Interior because they say they're hunters and they know what they need.
There you go.
I'm not kidding. That's not a joke. It's hard to tell what the jokes are because. But I was thinking, poor Billy Bush, he's out of a job. Maybe they can make him press secretary now.
You never know.
You never know. And he could grab like Martha Raddatz by the P word and, shake up the press corps.
Hey, there was a great T-shirt that a woman was wearing at one of the protests the other night in L.A. It said, "This pussy grabs back."
Ooh. I just hate the normalization of any of this.
I know.
Not just the word. Not just the word. Oh, by the way, that reminds me of for agriculture, they're looking at the Texas Agriculture Secretary. He's the one that called Hillary the C word.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and they're considering him for agriculture.
That is nuts. Hey, real quick, I was going to mention that a little notice story came out about how Paul Ryan is now reviving his wish to voucherize Medicare. So, these folks are going to get what they wanted, or at least I don't think these old white guys really voted for that, but, they're going to...
I don't think they voted for any of these people, for any of these lobbyists. They thought they're draining the swamp, is what they thought. I warned you. Just you wait. Just you wait. 59 after.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Your phone can be a source for progressive power. Yes, it can. Credo Mobile is a progressive phone company. So what does that mean? It means every month they take a share of their revenue, more than $150,000, and donate it to incredible progressive organizations like Friends of the Earth, Project Vote, Social Security Works, the Brennan Center for Justice. Even better, Credo lets people vote every month to determine how they divide this pool of funding. Not only does Credo fund progressive causes, but you get to use the phone of your choice with great service. Right now, Credo has a special deal for Randi Rhodes Show listeners. Go to credo.com/Randy and get $150 off any smartphone of your choice, plus 50% off unlimited talk and text for 1 year. Just go to credo.com/Randy, 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 or call 1-888-533-8225 and tell them Randy from the Randi Rhodes Show sent you. The phone company that represents your values, Credo.com/Randy. youtube.com/Randy.
Now, the top of the hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn presents the Green News Report.
I will lift the Obama-Clinton roadblocks that allow for this vital energy infrastructure projects to go forward.
Making history and rewriting the future. Donald Trump wins the U.S. presidential election. What it means for the environment, energy, and the UN climate agreement. Plus, environmental measures win and lose on statewide ballots.
All of those stories and more, unfortunately, straight ahead. From BradBlog.com, I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
Stand by for 6 minutes of independent green news, politics, analysis, and snarky comment.
Those things you can utterly forget about, the people who actually believe that climate is a real serious issue. We're out of all of those things.
Oh, yeah.
That's over and done with.
Climate change is a hoax invented by the Chinese.
Right.
Right. You know, sometimes you just don't have a snarky comment. This is your Green News Report. Well, okay, Desi Doyen. Hello.
Hello.
The day we have warned about for a long time seems to now be upon us after all.
Yes, unfortunately. Donald Trump, a climate science denier, has been declared the winner of the United States presidential election. The Republican Party, which also rejects climate science, retains control of the U.S. House and the Senate, and President Trump will be nominating Supreme Court justices who will influence environmental policy for at least a generation with impact that can last thousands of years.
But other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Well, it means there's a tough road ahead for efforts to expand clean energy, protect clean water, clean air, endangered species, and of course to combat climate change. Trump has reportedly selected a prominent climate science denier to head up his transition team.
Because of course he has.
Of course, for the Environmental Protection Agency. And his plan for his first 100 days reads like a wish list for the fossil fuel industry.
I will lift the restrictions on the production of $50 trillion worth of job-producing American energy reserves, including shale, oil, natural gas, and clean coal. And we will put our miners back to work. We're going to allow the Keystone Pipeline and so many other things to move forward. Tremendous numbers of jobs and good for our country.
So, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? So all of these things, all of these regulations, the Keystone XL pipeline, he will now have the power to lift that. The EPA will not be able to stop it, as far as I know. The U.S. House, the U.S. Senate, they won't bother to block any of this. This is what you have been warning about.
Yes, it's exactly what we have been warning about. But there was some good news in statewide ballot measures.
Thank God.
In Florida, residents voted down a deceptive anti-solar measure backed by the utility industry and intended to kill rooftop solar.
That's good.
In Washington state, however, voters rejected the nation's first statewide carbon tax. That had been doomed in part by division among environmental groups over how the revenue should be used, but it was also doomed by massive funding from the fossil fuel industry.
Who would have guessed?
Meanwhile, the United Nations climate negotiators are actually meeting right now in Morocco to hammer out the next phase of the landmark Paris Climate Agreement, the first ever global framework to address climate change. Now, the Paris Agreement was designed specifically to be as Trump-proof and Republican-proof as possible. It did come into force just days before the U.S. election and is now international law. Trump cannot legally withdraw from the agreement for 4 years, but he can halt U.S. progress on cutting emissions.
In other words, he can completely ignore the agreement if he likes.
That's right. Now, other nations would then be forced to do more if the U.S. reneges on its commitments. Negotiators from 190 UN member countries are now working out those procedures and reporting mechanisms. They were shocked by the election results, according to Simon Donner, a climate scientist who is attending the talks. He says, however, that delegates at the negotiations are determined and hopeful that, quote, the process is too far along to be affected by change in one government, even one as important as the United States.
Keep hoping.
Look, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Trump's election is a serious setback for the fight against climate change, for people and for the planet. But there is some good news. Energy analysts say that market forces already set in motion by the rapidly declining costs of renewable energy are likely to continue. And for her part, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, in her concession speech, urged people to keep up the fight.
Our constitutional democracy demands our participation, not just every 4 years, but all the time. So let's do all we can to keep advancing the causes and values we all hold dear. Protecting our country and protecting our planet.
Now, the 2018 congressional elections are coming up, so there is an opportunity to continue moving forward on action on climate change and energy.
Yes, opportunities to move forward amidst the fight to keep from moving backwards. For much more on all of these stories and the ones we couldn't get to today, check out our website at greennews.bradblog.com. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
And this has been your Green News Report.
It's always darkest before the
This has been the Green News Report on the top of the hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America. From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
No. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Turn up your mind.
Attack on Mexican Americans, and then he took the escalator down. And his entire campaign was fueled on racism and bigotry, attacks on women, attacks on African Americans, attacks on Latinos, attacks on Muslims, attacks on people who were disabled. I mean, it was one attack after another. And that means we have to think about what this means for America and where we go forward right now. Mm-hmm. And so the first part I start with on any part of this is that Donald Trump brought a kind of bigotry to the fore that we've never seen so publicly in our politics, or at least not in a very, very, very long time. So what are we going to do about that? That means for me, what we're going to do is we're going to stand up and say, there's a lot we'll try to work with you on. There are a lot of places where there are going to have to be compromises. There are things we're going to end up losing because we don't have the White House, we don't have the Senate, we don't have the House of Representatives. But on these core issues about treating every single human being in this country with dignity, on that, we stand up and we fight back. We do not back down. We do not compromise, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. For me, that's the starting place on how to understand what's happened to us.
One of the things that I've been...
Okay, so we're going to start with basic decency. Woohoo! I feel emboldened now. I feel empowered that my party can only hope for basic human decency. That's all we can stand up and protect is basic decency. Wow. Now, compare that. That's Elizabeth Warren, who, does great work. There's no question that her work, when she's allowed to do it, her Consumer Protection Bureau that she fought so hard to get, that's about to go away too. Everything's about to go away. Dodd-Frank is about to go away. The Volcker rule is about to go away. I mean, we were trying to restore Glass-Steagall, which puts a big brick wall between the investment bank, which is where you go when you want to gamble in the stock market, and the savings and loan, which is where you go when you want to put your money away for a rainy day without risk. We merged those two things. We blurred the lines between this. And if you can't understand it, it's like entertainment and news. You blur the line between one thing that's supposed to be entertainment and one thing that's supposed to be news. And what you get is pablum. What you get is garbage. What you get is garbage in, garbage out. Profit-making news is garbage in, and propaganda is the garbage out that you get. Same thing with the banking. When you say a savings and loan is a safe place to put your money for a rainy day, and then you can go there and you can ask for a loan. Let's say you want to buy a car, or let's say you want to pay them, you want to buy a house, And then you merge that with the investment banks who then buy your mortgages, chop them up, good mortgages, bad mortgages, people who haven't paid, people who will pay, maybe one day, people who are late all the time, with people who always pay, chop all those mortgages up, shred them up like coleslaw, take the big bowl full now of E. coli poison and spoon it out into little bowls and sell those little bowls all over the world, but have them rated AAA. Well, that's a recipe for crashing the economy, which is exactly what happened. And now the guy who crashed Bear Stearns, he could be our Treasury Secretary. Woohoo! So we were on the verge of putting back Glass-Steagall, the big brick wall between the savings and loan, the safe place to put your money, and the investment banks, the fun place to gamble, which is all good. You need both. But now they're merged together. They don't have your interest at heart. They have their shareholders' interest at heart. Wells Fargo, she just she did a phenomenal job knocking down this Strumpf guy. Can't spell Strumpf without Trump. Oh, maybe Mr. Strumpf will be our new Treasury Secretary. Wouldn't that be fun? Anyway, you compare what she's saying now to what Harry Reid has said. Harry Reid, the Senate Minority Leader, is retiring. So now he's free to speak. And every time he does now, it's like so much fun. It's so good.
It's obvious he can't control his mind or his tongue. Give him fake briefings.
What does that even mean?
It means they'll tell him stuff. He won't know the difference.
That's Harry Reid, right? So today he put out a statement on the election of Donald Trump. I will read it to you. I have personally been on the ballot in Nevada for 26 elections, and I've never seen anything like the reaction to the election completed last Tuesday. The election of Donald Trump has emboldened the forces of hate and bigotry in America. White nationalists, Vladimir Putin, and ISIS are celebrating Donald Trump's victory, while innocent, law-abiding Americans are racked with fear, especially African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Muslim Americans, LGBT Americans, and Asian Americans. Watching white nationalists celebrate while innocent Americans cry tears of fear does not feel like America. I've heard more stories in the past 48 hours of Americans living in fear of their own government and their fellow Americans than I can remember hearing in 5 decades in politics. Hispanic Americans who fear their families will be torn apart, African Americans being heckled on the street, Muslim Americans afraid to wear a headscarf, gay and lesbian couples having slurs hurled at them and feeling afraid to walk down the street holding hands. American children are waking up in the middle of the night crying, terrified that Trump will take their parents away. Young girls unable to understand why a man who brags about sexually assaulting women has been elected president. He says, I have a large family. I have 1 daughter and 12 granddaughters. The texts, emails, and phone calls I've received from them have been filled with fear. Fear for themselves, fear for their Hispanic and African American friends, for their Muslim and Jewish friends, for their LGBT friends, for their Asian friends. I felt their tears, and I have felt their fear. We, as a nation, must find a way to move forward without consigning those who Trump has threatened to the shadows. Their fear is entirely rational because Donald Trump has talked openly about doing terrible things to them. Every news piece that breathlessly obsesses over inauguration preparations compounds their fear by normalizing, thank you, Harry, normalizing a man who has threatened to tear families apart, who has bragged about sexually assaulting women, and who has directed crowds of thousands to intimidate reporters and assault African Americans. Their fear is legitimate, and we must refuse to let it fall through the cracks between the fluff. If this is going to be a time of healing, we must first put the responsibility for healing where it belongs, at the feet of Donald Trump, a sexual predator who lost the popular vote and fueled his campaign with bigotry and hate. Winning the Electoral College does not absolve Trump of the grave sins he committed against millions of Americans. Donald Trump may not possess the capacity to assuage those fears, but he owes it to this nation to try. If Trump wants to roll back the tide of hate he unleashed, he has a tremendous amount of work to do, and he should begin immediately. Thank you. Harry Reid from Nevada. No, seriously. I mean, I hear this rhetoric where, we have to try and work with him. No. The normalizing, my mother called me today. She wanted to come and do the show today. I was scared for her to do the show, quite frankly. She's so angry. And, my mother says what she thinks. And I'm a little nervous for her to, right? Because Howard knows what she said. But I will tell you, one of the things she started off the phone call with this morning, I should have recorded it, but I didn't. Because it's just, I'm scared for her. But one of the things she started off with was, she was crying. She's been crying since Tuesday night. She's been crying. She would call me Wednesday crying. She called me this morning crying. She said, I hate to say this, but when I saw Obama shake his hand, she said it looked like Roosevelt turning the keys over to Hitler. And she said, I can't shake the feeling. I can't shake the feeling that we just went fascist, that what happened when I was a little girl is happening now. And what kind of a world does that leave for you and Jess? She's just beside herself. She's just, and it took everything I had not to scold her about, the primary and how she voted for Hillary, because that's done. That's that. It's over. I'm not going to revisit it until I do. How very Trumpian of me, right? No, it's not going to serve any purpose. Although I will say I did join our revolution last night. One thing I can tell you as somebody who's been doing this for a really long time, that when the crap hits the fan, who bails out these people, these shows, these broadcasters, these nutbags, who bails them out, right? It's these right-wing, lunatic, fringy groups. And it's even the ones that you now consider mainstream. The Heritage Foundation, the Hillsdale Colleges, the Club for Growth, right? All these right-wing, the Susan B. Anthony Foundation, which is, a bunch of crazy Tea Party women. You have all these groups that are there with all this money. We have to build some of those. We have to start with some of those. We have to create think tanks. We have to create action organizations. So they asked, when you go and join our revolution, they'll ask you a whole bunch of questions about how do you see yourself fitting into this revolution? What would you like to do? And what do you need from us? Which was a great start. I asked them to send me people who can educate the undereducated. People who could be the explainers in chief, because I keep it very simple and I won't have people who speak in talking points on this show. It's just never going to happen. I've tried that, 92 to 96. I used to have, Congress members and senators and, they will never, they will talk like that. They will go, well, we must fight back. We must fight back against the hatred. That's not a plan. That's not a plan. So I want people who will, I will book anybody on this show who's got a decent set of credentials to explain simply what's going on and what to do about it. So I said, I need people to come and educate. And I'm going to try and build some sort of a not-for-profit think tank. I'm going to try and build our own version of the Heritage Foundation. We have to name it, and it's got to have a really tough name. It can't be like left, and it can't be progressive, and it can't, it's got to be something like Patriot. You know what I mean? It has to, I'm a veteran, okay? I'm a veteran. And I don't even get to say I'm a patriot because that name's gotten usurped. So, that was like the first thing that I did. But I mean, I'm sitting here listening to, the difference between somebody who isn't going to serve again, who's, retiring, and somebody who does great work, but is still part of it. I mean, like I said, when I watched Obama normalize all this, I got sick to my stomach. My mom sees, the handover to, the Reichstag. My mom sees it, And we're Russian Jews. So I got to tell you, my family has lived through this purging stuff. My family has lived through this crazy lunatic Aryan, fever dream. Brent in Buffalo.
Hello, Randy.
Don't yell. I'm wearing headphones.
I'm sorry.
Ow.
It's nice to talk to you again. Last time I spoke to you, it was when the Affordable Care Act was about to be voted on. And I did not get my cherry pop.
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The reason why I called was because I had two forms of information that I thought was interesting.
Okay.
The first bit of news was NBC News posted that Maryland became the first state that will award their 10 electoral votes to the winner of the national popular vote. And that came out around noon today. Now, I found that interesting, but I'm also a little bit worried because that's not going to work unless the other states do it. But the fact that they're willing to basically usurp the Electoral College is interesting.
Wait, are you sure that they didn't vote with the Maryland popular vote?
No, the Maryland electoral votes.
No,
and he's talking about NBC. He saw that?
Yeah. NBC, yes.
Oh, my God. I wish somebody would tell me these things. Maryland National Popular. News.
So how are you doing today, Randy?
Okay. Ditch the Electoral College. Yes, we can. All right. Okay. After the second election in 16 years, which will win our national public will be denied the presidency, talk has resurfaced about the shortcomings, but abolishing it, I don't see it. Where? Why are you sitting on information I need?
Hold on.
All right. I'll look it up. Thank you. Okay. Brother David.
Sister Randy.
Yes.
Well, like you, I know, never have I been so depressed about being correct about something.
Yeah.
And what I've been doing, besides talking people off the phone, I'm right there with Loretta. I couldn't even watch it, actually. Is sending them links to the Project Gutenberg edition of It Can't Happen Here, because guess what, people? It has. And half of us who actually voted, just as Sinclair Lewis, prophetically so it turns out, stated, have invited fascism into the White House.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. People need to face it, because that reality is the only chance we have of surviving. It's what got the Paris Underground, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we need to be looking at, those kind of movements. I love the one you were talking about. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Our government.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. We have a Russian agent. We have the bigot in chief. We have a guy whose swamp buddies haven't even been near the levers of power since
very long time.
Well, since the late 90s. And now all of a sudden he's bringing back all these retreads. He's bringing back John Bolton. He's bringing back Newt Gingrich. He's going to normalize Chris Christie. He's going to invite every lobbyist in Washington to plug people into these agency positions. I mean, this is exactly what Obama made laws
overcame.
He made laws to stop that.
Prevent. Right.
And now we're bringing it all back. These lunatics think that they voted to drain the swamp. Oh my God! They're filling it up with the creatures of the Black Lagoon. They're filling it up with the old '90s retreads who couldn't even make it through a Senate confirmation because of the crap they did.
Hello. And it actually is full circle from that pivotal moment in 1980 when we, the American people, in our infinite ability to believe what we see on TV, chose image over substance and actor over actual. And the Orwellian age began. Well, now we're in the post-Orwellian age, people, and this is what it looks like. And between Brexit and this, boy, did I pick the right time to come back to a red state with open carry laws. Woohoo! Buzz Waldron is president.
Oh, yeah. I know. And he said that on day one, he's got a long list of things to do on day one.
Oh, it's frightening.
But one of the things he wants to do on day one is no more gun-free zones. So does that include the White House? Does that include Congress? Does that include the Senate? Does that include... what does that include? I mean, is it every single government agency now you can bring a gun in? I'm not clear.
And the fact that we know from the leaked Kasich emails that he expects the Veep to do the heavy lifting and major policy decisions, and has already been appearing with him everywhere in press conference after press conference.
I will tell you what I saw yesterday. My mom saw the handover to Adolf. You know what I saw? I saw a man that looked so terrified in the Oval Office. He looked terrified. He looked like he didn't belong there. He looked scared. He looked like, oh, I fucking won? Now what?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why all the lobbyists descended, because they saw what I saw. Every lobbyist in town, every single person is, who makes money off of representing clients who want to have their way with the American people. They all descended, and he hired them. I mean, they're all doing the work of plugging in people to these agencies because this man does not have any friends.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force. The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
Well, the unthinkables happened. We have Donald Trump moving into the White House in 2017. Of course, this move brings extreme uncertainty to our country's financial future. I mean, you got the Don and his crew moving into the White House now, and who knows what they'll do to our economy. When he moves into the White House, everyone needs to get their own financial house in order before the Don and the crew have the time to do some serious economic damage to this country. Now, when it's time for financial security, it's time for gold. So call my friends at ITM Trading. Get a free gold kit. Learn why gold survives every government, every currency, every economic crisis. Gold's always brought its owners security in uncertain times just like this. Call ITM Trading at 1-888-OWN-GOLD. Get expert guidance from their precious metals consultants. They've helped tens of thousands of people navigate this market. They have the best reputation in the industry. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
Here's what's happening on the Leslie Marshall Show on the Progressive Voices Network. Out of 107 polls, over 100 of them said that Hillary Clinton would win. The predictors, 538 every day, had her up and down, but never had Trump winning. Actually, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, as did Al Gore back in 2000. And Hillary Clinton, unlike Donald Trump if he had been in this situation, with class, with dignity, called him shortly after he reached 270 and conceded. Some people said, oh, she should have come out and spoke to her supporters that were standing there. And I agree, but my mother pointed something out. My mother said, how do you stand in a room with a glass ceiling and admit defeat when you still can't break it? And after 240 years, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America still has never had a woman as president. Catch my show, The Leslie Marshall Show, Monday to Friday on the Progressive Voices Network.
Hi, we're back, and everything is possible again. Isn't it beautiful? Well, if you want to keep it this way, buy a stinking podcast. Oh, yes, you have to buy a stinking podcast, and you get that at RandiRhodes.com. where we're open all day, all night long. RandiRhodes.com. Get your stinking podcast.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's perfect. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Okay, I found your story about Maryland choosing their slate of electors based on the national popular vote. You know, each state chooses its slate of electors based on the state's popular vote, right? But 10 states, looks like, and Washington, D.C., have decided that the Electoral College needs to be kept intact because it's in the Constitution. And we all know that minus a constitutional convention, which has never happened since the founding, that you'd need 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate, and 3/4 of the states to vote to amend the Constitution. So they decided locally in 10 states that they would cast their electoral ballots based on the national popular vote. Now, this is not new. I mean, Maine and Nebraska, they've already done that. They choose to split. I mean, because what's in the Constitution is that the state had, now, not that the Supreme Court upheld this when Florida had an issue. No. But what the Constitution actually called for was the states choose the manner in which they choose their electors, the manner in which. So, you ever notice, like in Maine, they have that top little district and it's got 2 electoral votes, and then they have the bottom and it's right. Well, Nebraska does it too, right? They've decided to split their electoral votes based on congressional districts, who wins the popular vote in certain congressional districts. So, what you have here is 10 states signing on to this national compact, saying that they will choose their slate of electors based on the national popular vote. So Maryland is the first to say that they are going with the popular vote. The national popular vote, not the state popular vote, but the national. And, those only blue states have said that they would do this so far, 10 of them. But, it's only blue states. So, those electoral votes would have gone to Hillary Clinton anyway. And then there's this other problem that I noticed today where you have these electors who are the Democratic electors, the slate of Democratic electors. So let's say Florida won, there would be 29 Democratic electors. Well, let's see. Washington State, I believe that there's at least 2 electors who refused, to vote for Hillary Clinton should they be chosen by the popular vote. And they're going to cast their vote for Bernie, which is stupid. Because if never mind. It's, it's just so ridiculous. This whole ridiculous nature of not wanting to stand together, of, factions within our own. So, you know what? I've never been a party person. You know that. I've said that a million times. Don't give a rat's ass about the party. Care about the people. And I think that we need to put together some sort of a, think tank like the Tea Party did, what do they call theirs? The freedom something, remember? And you had all these, and then those groups fought with each other because, we need to do it. We have to do it. I have no idea who that is. DJ Bruce Wayne?
Yes, it's DJ Bruce Wayne here. I do a radio show right here outside of Houston, Texas, here, and broadcast all around the world. And I've been pushing this deal right now. We got over. I noticed that they got over 3 million people had voted for this electoral college vote to turn for Hillary Clinton. Now, I agree with you what you're saying. I think everybody needs to be together with the party. And not let's stick together for the people, not for other people. But, we ought to be doing this.
You know what? If this idea of going with the national popular vote, where each state would sign on and agree, every state, Oklahoma, Texas, all of them, would say, well, whoever wins the national popular vote, that's which slate of electors we pick. The result of it, right? Then it wouldn't be. We would have no more parties. We wouldn't have.
Right here in Texas, she won every major city in Texas. Every major city. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of cities in Texas, especially the big one.
So what I'm saying is that would be a really great way to get rid of the 2-party system.
Right, you're right.
Yeah, and it could really work. I'm
willing to work with you, and see, I do a radio show, and I play music, but I'm a big time liberal. I went to Woodstock in 1969. I've seen the revolution back then when we were fighting against Richard Nixon. I was only 14 years old, but I remember all these things, and not remember them, but I was in them. I even protested for the women's rights back in 1970s. I was down there in Washington. So, I've been fighting for people's rights, and I think this is what it's all about. It should be for the people, not for the rich people.
And not for partisans either. Listen, if we understand that 12% of Trump's vote came from Obama supporters, then you have to understand that the populism. Now, Trump was an evil son of a bitch with his populism. Okay, what he told everybody was he's all about the forgotten man. Okay, so that's populism, but the forgotten man has been forgotten because of Muslims and African Americans, and and that's evil populism. But populism is what people want. Populism is what people need. Populism and hope, that's what they want. And this two-party thing gets in the way.
Right. Well, what I am happy about is that I see our young people finally walking up and seeing what's going on. It might be a little too late.
They didn't. No, they didn't. What I'm
saying, the kids out there that are protesting right now.
Oh, yeah, great. Those kids, in the blue states. But I got news for you. 18 to 49-year-old gamers who are in those gaming chat. I don't know if
I don't know what happened to that. I don't know what happened to that generation.
Oh, they were propagandized on the gaming channels. We noticed it early on. Remember, we were getting Trump commercials in our games. Okay, we were sitting here, right? We were using our phones, and we were when we were building this place. Okay, there were times when you had to wait for somebody to complete a job to for you to be able to get into the office and do the next thing. And so sometimes you would just sit around, it's like hurry up and wait, and you'd play the game, you know what I mean, to try and and we started noticing that there were Trump commercials on the gaming channels. And then I started going on the internet looking around, and sure as crap, man, there's this whole community out there full of vermin. These are the people that, loved Pepe and created this dank meme is what they called it. These were white supremacist gamers. I mean, it was very sick, but there's a whole community out there because all they do is kill things. Okay, they live in virtual reality, and they don't understand the world. They probably haven't left the basement and, God knows how long. And these people were rapidly getting propagandized. It was frightening what was going on. And it wasn't just memes and stuff. They were watching, they were listening to the likes of Steve Bannon. They read Breitbart, okay? The Bannons of the world, they knew how to infiltrate certain corners of the internet and certain corners of the gaming community. And this one guy, Milo, he's one of them. There's a whole bunch of very sick, strange, twisted people out there that became these heroes. Their movie is Batman, what's the one with Bane?
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, because Bane said something like, I came from shit and this is what they love. This is how they live in a virtual world. Their movie references are dark. Their references to the outside world is fear and anxiety. I mean, and they were propagandized. So you had this large 18 to 49-year-old vote. You had 49% of his vote was an 18 to 49-year-old vote. They were white kids, but they were kids. And then you had, the 48% that make over $250,000 that think, they'll do anything for a tax break. They're whoas, is what they are. So that's what happened there. Rhonda and Erie.
Well, welcome to the world of black folks.
Yes, we're all black now. I told you.
We are.
I said it a long time ago. I was a black woman and a black journalist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one of the prevailing things that I've heard from my friends is my friends who are not from ethnic minority groups or who don't have disabilities or who are not from the LGBT community is, I just had no idea. I just had no idea that my fellow white people were this bad, and I said, welcome to our world. It's a thing that we've known, but the thing that they're going to now have to learn how to do is the kind of community and community, not just organizing, but communal living that we have constructed among ourselves in order to support ourselves. I was talking to a friend of mine and I was saying that in these kinds of times of trouble, what the black community does is it circles the wagons, right? And it supports the community. And the thing that's different about this is that circle is going to be larger now. It's going to include a whole lot more people because there are a whole lot more people who are awake to this stuff now. The problem is that it's going to take decades. You know, even if Trump is only in office for a year, the damage that's going to be done in a year is going to literally take decades to undo.
Hey, the damage he'll do on day one, if he's serious about any of this, is going to be devastating. So, yeah, I mean, day one, give him a year. I do think he'll implode. I don't think that, he'll make it through his term. I think he's, he makes Nixon look stupid, like little tiny, infractions. But he's going to spy on all the wrong people. He's going to get caught making deals, against the American interest with Russia. I don't think Comey's done. I think Comey is still investigating the Russia connections. I think he's still looking into Manafort. I think he's still looking into, there was an article in the paper today or last night that said, yes, the Russians were in touch with the Trump campaign the whole time. I don't think any of this is over. I think Comey's also looking into these rogue FBI agents who use their positions to affect politics. I just don't. I still believe that he was trying to find the highest, most apolitical ground, so that when he's got like 2 months to do it, because January 20th, all bets are off. He'll probably be asked to leave. But my advice for decent, caring, concerned white people is to go to a black church this weekend. Go to a black church, or try, and if you have, neighbors that you've never talked to, go talk to them. And maybe go out to lunch, plan a lunch. Go out with some girls on the block that you've never, you wave to them or whatever, but you've never really talked to them. Go across the street and talk to them. And then, at the end of the conversation, if you don't know what to say to yourself, say, you know what, let's have lunch. I'll make I'll make some tuna. Come over and we'll have tuna and crackers, and you bring, you bring coffee. Do you know what I'm saying? Because when you know someone, when you talk to somebody, when you experience somebody, all of a sudden the difference is just woo. They kind of peel away.
And can I rant for just a minute?
Yeah.
Because I had to say this to my friends who, everybody that I know does not live close to me. So, we use Facebook a lot. And, I started seeing this week, a lot of my white friends just lamenting, heartbroken, anguish. They didn't know what to do about these people and their families and their friends on Facebook saying all this hateful stuff and blah, blah. And I had a day where I couldn't listen to it anymore, and I got online and I just went off. You need to disconnect from those people. We have been asked to acquiesce. How much longer are you going to acquiesce? What has your acquiescence gotten you? You need to let those people go, and you need to treat your space like it's a sanctuary, whatever that space is. If you have a Facebook post, if people come on your Facebook post and say shit that they shouldn't be saying, they stuff that you would not let them say in your living room, then they don't get to say it on your Facebook post. If we are going to make change in this country, if we are going to do anything, we need to reserve our power, our energy to do that. You can't reserve your energy if you're messing around with dumbass people, family or otherwise, talking to you, saying crazy stuff day in and day out. Well, we don't have time for that.
Well, that's what I said. I said, if I used to, you know me a long time, and I used to say, but don't you get it? I'm looking out for you too. I'm trying to make everybody rise. I feel like if somebody is oppressed, then no one is free.
It's true.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't want to know anybody that voted for Trump. I don't want to hang out with them. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to. But what I do want to do is I want people who have never known a Muslim, who have never known a black person, who have never known a Jew, who have never known whatever it is that you've never known. Just find somebody who is that and talk to them, because you're going to realize
meaningful conversation.
Yeah, that we're all the damn same. Everyone wants the same crap. It's just it's the same message except without the evil. Meaning. Right. We all want the same things. We all want decent jobs, decent futures. We want the ability to, pay our bills. We want to send our kids to school. But Trump said, oh, that's what he wants for you too. But you know what? You got to get rid of black people, and you got to get rid of the Jews, and you got to get rid of Muslims, and you got to get rid of... No, that's not how it works. But if that's what you voted for, I don't want you near me. But
exactly.
if you've never met a Jewish person before, Rhonda, I know you're African American. If you never met a smart, intelligent, college-educated teacher, who, college professor who happens to be African American, reach out to Rhonda and Erie, and have a conversation with her. You're going to find out you're exactly the same.
Exactly. And I'm with you about this. Don't give me this come together crap. You can keep that. You can't spend 18 months talking about everybody who doesn't look like you, like a dog, and then the day after you get elected president, let's come together. F you. F you. F you and the people like you. If we're going to make change in this country, we need to do it with like-minded people who are willing to do what you just said, because nobody else is going to help. Everybody else is out to thwart change. We don't need those kinds of people.
No, I agree. And, there's an old expression, I forget exactly how it goes, but if you argue with an idiot, people from afar can't tell who the idiot is.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of done with it. I really am. I used to always, want to. I don't want to anymore. I just don't.
Me neither. I don't have the energy.
I don't have the time. That's the thing. I don't have a lot of time anymore, and we don't have time for that. We don't have time to sit there and try and coddle people who encourage this kind of hate. It's like go hate over there in your double wide and leave us the hell alone.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
You're listening to WIN, Workers Independent News, a production of Diversified Media Enterprises. I'm Doug Cunningham. AFL-CIO President Rich Trumka says more than anything, the presidential election was an indictment of politics as usual. Trump says for too long, political elites embraced economic policies that hold down wages, increase inequality, diminish opportunity, and ship American jobs overseas. Trump made many promises to workers on trade, restoring manufacturing and reviving communities. Trumka says the labor movement will work to make promises of better lives for working people real. Labor will work with the new president if he's willing to work with labor. But Trumka says labor can never back down from its values. He says the campaign's racism, misogyny, and anti-immigrant appeals caused damage that must be repaired. The labor movement, Trumka says, is more committed than ever to help working people win a voice on the job and in our democracy. UAW President Dennis Williams says that since Trump disagreed with the Republican Party on trade, that could actually be an area where the new GOP president might actually do something that helps workers.
He wasn't a friend of the Republican Party. He actually set the Republican Party upside down in the philosophy of trade because they believe in free trade without any barriers, right? He don't. His argument about a lot of these things were not in line with the Republican Party. So he is an individual like we have not seen before. So when I see that, I don't see the traditional Republican president. I see somebody who made a lot of commitment to blue-collar workers about fairness and their right to be part of the American dream. And that, to me, means rebuilding the middle class and having greater opportunities. We're going to see what he says compared to what he does.
And if Trump and the GOP Congress do attack workers, Williams says, the UAW will fight back.
If they target any trade union or any group, we're not going to change who we are as a union. We're not going to change our social consciousness. That's who we are. And we're prepared to take on anybody on that.
Exit polling showed Trump got 43% of the union household vote, with 51% from union households voting Clinton. The AFL-CIO says that among union members, it was 56% for Clinton, with Trump getting 37%. Trump's union household vote percentage was 3 points higher than Mitt Romney's, and Trump's union member vote percentage was 4 points higher than Romney's.
Brought to you by Union Active, affordable, state-of-the-art web design using responsive web technology with easy-to-use content tools, member management features, and a host of other tools that make Union Active your perfect web solution. Designs, prices, and features are online at unionactive.com.
You've been listening to WIN, Workers Independent News. For more information, visit laborradio.org.
The Randi Rhodes Show is brought to you by our partners at ITM Trading. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience. Visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
All right, 10 till last segment until... I don't think I'm going to do beer. I think I'm going to do bourbon. I think I'm going for it. I've done all this completely, no marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't particularly like it. Makes me hungry and tired, and I'm always hungry and tired. So why would I want? See, this is why Captain Leary and I get along. We're probably the last two people on earth that do not smoke the pot.
No.
Yes, I know. I love that about him. And
Wrong.
It's wrong. But wrong. Because you'd be in jail. Oh, wait until you get Giuliani, who still wants to bring in these old drug warriors, these old war on drug warriors into the... Oh, my God. All right. Tarshim in Atlanta.
Hey, Randy.
Hi.
Hi, I'm a first-time caller. I've been listening to you for about a year.
Oh.
Calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you.
I'm a 31-year-old black guy from Atlanta.
Perfect.
I voted for Hillary and everything, but I just wanted to mention... the thing you were saying about the gamers, about how they've been online and stuff, and I've been online playing, Call of Duty and shooting games like that, and they're just using that format, basically just, to throw out the N-word, talk about Muslims, talk about gays, all this stuff, and these are like 15 or 30-year-olds, man, and so when those poll numbers came out saying that, 19 and 39-year-olds went drastically for Trump in these rural areas, it was like no surprise to me because they've been doing this for like over the last 8 years since Obama became president.
So let me ask you, so you're playing on what, like an Xbox? What are you playing on?
Yeah, I play on the PlayStation 4
on a PlayStation.
network.
And so that connects you to all the other people, right, that are playing the game?
All over the world.
All over the world.
You get rooms where it's like Americans, French people, Muslim people all in this one room playing a game together, and they just take advantage of that. Like, Trump is going to make us, when Trump becomes president, all you MFs is going back. Black people going to get put in their place. The South will rise again. Just stuff like that. It's like real talk. People think that the South is risen again down here in the South, to where this is like that Civil War win that they never got.
No, I've always said
Trump.
that they have been dying to refight the Civil War. There's no question in my mind that they think they got gypped or something. But they lost. What can I tell you? Because they were fighting for the most heinous of all causes, to own you, to literally make you a possession. And you can't own another man. So that's why they lost. They just can't get that through their head, that their cause was unjust. Their cause wasn't good. And America was always great because America was good. And this was my conclusion after this election. We're not good anymore. We may be great, but we're not good anymore. And no, we're not better than this. But I knew about that gaming community. And you know something? I'm going to try and talk to guys like you who are playing on the Xbox or the PlayStation. Maybe we can, make something that we can insert also into that format and start influencing that community, because I know that's where it started with the young kids. I know it. I saw it in my games.
I mean, I have a 15-year-old nephew that plays with me. That's how I, relate to my nephew and stuff. And, it's times where I have to mute it for him, and just like he comes and asks me like, "Hey, why are people like this?" And it's just like I tell him like, "Hey, look, Trump is that guy for them. He's the guy that, the white supremacists, or if you're a closet white supremacist, you go to work and a lot of your coworkers are women, black men, and Indian people. See, here in Georgia, we got a large Indian community. And so that's pretty much what, if you're a white 30-year-old man, you're kind of afraid because, hey, when it comes time to up that level, become a vice president or, to get a leadership role, they're afraid that they're not going to have the opportunity to get that leadership role anymore. And it happened to me. I used to work in an office setting to where, I get up there, with my resume and stuff, and people just look at me like, we're going to get us to this guy because, he knows his dad used to be such and such with this guy, and, he just has that connection, connections you don't have. So
yeah, I know what you mean.
Just,
Yeah. Well,
And
thank
then,
you for that. Because I mean, honest to God, I know that's what went on, and people, are so, I don't know, they just don't understand where it all was being seeped into. Where it was being put in, plugged in, where all this talking to all these young kids was really going on. And I know it was in the gaming community. I know it was in these the Xboxes and the PlayStations. I don't think people get that's what's going on, and that they're sitting there with their headphones on, and they're shooting these games, and these games are like giant chat rooms, giant chat rooms. And people are saying the N-word, and they're saying all Muslims, blah blah blah. They're saying stuff that is so vile, and we started noticing it at the beginning. When we first were building this thing, because there was a lot of downtime when somebody would be in here, installing something or doing the wiring, and you'd be here, but you'd have to kill it. And I started seeing it. And I was like, "Oh my God!" And nobody was hip to it. And I totally knew. And then when I saw the exit polls, and I saw that 48% of his voters were 18 to 49-year-old white kids, I totally got it. I said, "This is what they're doing. They're piping it into their freaking headphones."
And then another thing about the James Bolton thing, I'm 31 and I remember James Bolton.
Yeah.
I've been shouting it from the rooftops like the British are coming, the British coming. If you let James Bolton back in that position where he was the architect of that whole PR campaign about Iraq, but if you look back to the 70s when that whole oil crisis happened under Carter, Wolfowitz and Rumsfeld and all those guys, that group of guys, Iran was that big picture. That was the final picture. Iraq was the starting point, but they really wanted Iran for what happened in the 70s. And I'm afraid to tell people that that's what's going to happen. And within a year and a half, we'll be in an all-out war with either Iran, with it starting with Israel, we'll be attacking Iran within a year and a half. And I just hope everything's recorded so you can say, hey, this guy really warned us about this. Is that's what's going to happen next.
No, it's so interesting. I mean, Trump sold whatever Trump said Hillary was doing is exactly what he's doing. So when he said that she would start World War III, he's going to start World War III. He is. He's definitely going to do it. First of all, two things are going to happen. The president of the United States, when they're new, are always tested. Okay, always. Yeah. Well, I don't know what our Trump's test is going to look like, but the world is going to do something, and they're going to test his mettle. They're going to see who he is, and all these neocons, John Bolton, for God's sake, all these neocons, the Wolfowitz, the Pearls, the John Boltons, the Newt Gingriches, they're all going to be around him, just like the gaming community, in his ear. And they're going to be telling him, attack, sir, attack. And because Trump doesn't know his ass from his elbow, and he's never been a warfighter, like I said, it's Veterans Day, and I'm a veteran, and I'm supposed to salute him because he went to a military prep school after he was thrown out of the regular prep school? This is his experience?
Randy, let's just hope that some generals out there, I mean, they might have to risk their own ass to do it, that they just deny some of these orders that he's going to give to them.
Yeah, there's going to be some sort of...
It's going to have to be a mutiny. It's just going to have to be that way.
Yeah, I know.
A denial of the commander.
Well, we'll see. You've got this group, I'm sure you've heard of them, called the Oath Keepers. And they are, yes, they're a bunch of ex-military, ex-intelligence officers, so they say. But they're young, and God only knows why they're retired so early. What have they done that they're not working? However, they say their entire purpose is to protect the country from unconstitutional laws and orders. We'll see. We'll see if they really mean what they say or if they follow this man into Gomorrah. But thank you for explaining how, allowing the conversation about how this gaming community works. I don't think everybody understands the power of it. The technology is not just Twitter, and it's... Now, I will say Hillary ran a very 90s online campaign, a very 90s technologically not adept, not smooth, not, a deep campaign. But they were so smart, they were in everyone's head. And I mean literally, like in your head while they were shooting things. It's wild. It was just the wildest propaganda machine I've ever seen. Something only, I don't know, Vladimir would have thought of. I just don't think they were that smart. I think somebody else was. And I don't think Comey's done. So you keep saying that to yourself over the weekend as you pound down whatever it is you're going to pound down. I know I deserve it. Happy Veterans Day.